नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, Text 14, a chapter entitled The Activities of King Bharata. This is the last verse of this chapter. Paro raja saviturjata devasya bhargo manasedam jajana sureta sadah punarravishya cheste hamsam gridranam nrisad ringiram imaha. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in pure goodness. He illuminates the entire universe and bestows all benedictions upon his devotees. The Lord has created this universe from his own spiritual potency. According to his desire, the Lord entered this universe as Supersoul, and by virtue of his different potencies, he is maintaining all living entities desiring material enjoyment. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who is the giver of intelligence. Purport. The predominating deity of the sun is another expansion of Narayana, who is illuminating the entire universe. The Lord enters the heart of all living entities as the Supersoul, and he gives them intelligence and fulfills their material desires. This is also confirmed in Bhagavata, Sarvasya Chaham Hri Sannivishtaha. I am sitting in everyone's heart. Bhagavata 15:15. As the Supersoul, the Lord enters the heart of all living entities, as stated in Brahma Samhita 5:35. Andantarastha Paramanucha Antarastham. He enters the universe and the atoms as well. In Rigveda, the predominating deity of the sun is worshipped by this mantra. Dhyaya sada savitur mandala madhyavarti narayana sarasijasana sannivishtaha. Narayana sits on his lotus flower within the sun. By reciting this mantra, every living entity should take shelter of Narayana just as the sun rises. According to the modern scientists, the material world rests on the sun's effulgence. Due to the sunshine, all planets are rotating and vegetables are growing. We also have information that the moonshine helps vegetables and herbs grow. Actually, Narayana within the sun is maintaining the entire universe. Therefore, Narayana should be worshipped by the Gayatri Mantra or Rig Mantra. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadagamam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Haripriye वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नीलाचलनिवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्रसुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। Hare Krishna. So in this, the chapter activities of Maharaj Bharat, who is the son of Lord Rishabhadev, is the last verse of this uh, chapter, wherein, like now, in the beginning we have heard that how Bharat Maharaj was offering, he was ruling the entire world, and then he was a great devotee also. And after enjoying everything, uh, when he felt, he enjoyed the whole material, like metal opulence for almost 1000 um, into 10,000, 1000 to 10,000, that much years. It is like when the eighth verse it says he enjoyed that much, and then after that he left all the uh, whatever he has earned, everything to his children, and he was ready to leave his home. He came to the Pulahashram near Haridwar, and there he started worshipping the Supreme Lord, and with by worshipping the Saligram Shila. So, and also it is mentioned that how he left everything. It was something like when the anybody goes for attending to the nature's call, after their work they just leave that place and come. They don't worry about, oh, like so much of things went from my body, or they'll not be attached to it. The same way, his detachment was so great that he left all the opulences, the power, position, name, fame, everything, and he had come to Pulahashram. And after reaching the Pulahashram, there he was worshipping the Lord Narayana, and he chanted the hymns from Rigveda. And this is a verse which he recited as the sun in the morning, like arose, remembering the Supreme Lord. He recited this verse which says, Paro Raja Savitur Jata Vedo Devasya Bhargo Manasedam Jajana Sureta Sadha Punaravishya Chaste Hamsam Gridhrana Nrasad Ringiram Imaha. So he is offering his respectful obeisances to the Lord because he is the giver of the intelligence. As Prabhupada also writes in that the 15th chapter, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smrtir jnanamapohanam cha vedaischa sarve rahameva vedyo vedanta kritveda videva chaham. He is seated in the region of the heart of all the living entities. From him comes the mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From him comes the knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So all are very important. Without he giving that ability, then we may not be able to lead a normal life on day-to-day basis also. Just imagine that we go to sleep and the next morning when we get up, we don't remember who we are or who I am. Then it will be a very, like we'll be asking our family members, hey, who are you? So that way, how much important it is that God is giving us the remembrance back. When we are sleeping, we don't remember anything. Who am I? In the dream, whatever we see is Like no one may think himself as a king or a beggar or whatever it is. He forgets his identity at all. He may be a big king, but in the dream he may be like a just like a dog. Then he considers himself as a dog. Or sometimes when the uh, animal chases, like in the dream, one starts sweating because that becomes a kind of reality. The same way, till the time one is in this material world, which is also in one sense like a dream, one feels this as a reality. And here he forgets his real identity as the Jivera Sarupaya Krishnara Nityadas. That is the real, when one is awake in the spiritual world, that is his real identity. But when he comes to this material world, he is put into ignorance or in one sense, a sleep by Krishna's energy, by which one thinks, I am this, I am that. And then with that, he, even in that case, also he has to be given that remembrance of who one is. So that is done by the Lord. And not only he gives the remembrance, and also he gives the forgetfulness also. Because without having the forgetfulness, it's very difficult to lead a normal life on day-to-day basis. For example, if anything happens to near and dear ones, it naturally pains uh, one. And just imagine that the whatever has happened, if Lord doesn't give the ability to forget, then that remembrance will be so strong or prevalent that one will not be able to lead a normal life also. That's why when anybody is the born or the leaves the body, there is sutak period and all, which is mainly different number of days for different categories of people. But why that is there? For that reason only. When somebody leaves, then because of that attachment towards that person or because of remembering him, there is so much of uh, painful situation the living entity undergoes, that in that even if he goes in front of the Lord, he cannot remember the Lord, or he will be looking at the deities, but his memory will be of that of the near and dear one who has passed away. So because of which he'll not be able to focus on the Lord. That's why it is mentioned that one should not go into the temple or something for that many days. But as the time passes, as there is saying, smashana vairagya, that means till the time one is in the graveyard, he'll be very much um, renunciation, graveyard renunciation. Like, no, I don't want anything of this world because my such and such near and dear one has left me. I don't want any post, position, no, nothing. But the same thing just comes back, and again, the Lord's energy makes them forget that, and then again they come back into their normal life, or they want to have all those things. Just imagine that if that does forgetfulness is not given, you cannot lead a normal life. So that's why the Lord plays the major role in terms of the for everyone to lead a normal life, and he doesn't have to do it himself. He does it with his energies. Through his energy, he coordinates everything. So today we'll discuss a little bit about the Lord's different energies, because Lord has the primarily these three energies. There is a Antaranga Shakti, which is the internal potency of the Lord, which takes care of the spiritual world or coordinating the things in the spiritual world. And the whole manifestation of spiritual world is by the spiritual potency or the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord. And Lord has this Tatastha Shakti also, that is the marginal energy or the living entity, who is Tata. Like why it is called as Tata is like the 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 shore of the ocean is called as the Tata, or any the river also. When the high tides are there, the Tata or the shore becomes wet, and when the low tide is there, that time it becomes dry. The same way, the Tatastha Shakti or the marginal energy, which is the living entities, that sometimes he may be put himself into the supreme energy of the Lord, Antaranga Shakti, and sometimes it may put himself into the Bahiranga Shakti, external energy of the Lord. So Bahiranga Shakti, or the external potency of the Lord, that manifests this material world. And the Antaranga Shakti is none other than the Subhadramaya or Yogamaya potency. The same Yogamaya potency in the material world manifests as the Mahamaya, and all uh, the uh, Supreme Lord's potencies, like in terms of the like Srimati Radharani is the topmost Radhini potency, like she exhibits or she possesses she is the having of the control of the whole Radhini. She gives pleasure to the Supreme Lord. Her only motive is to give pleasure to the Lord. Like just like the Radha, Mother Lakshmi, Mother Sita, their desire is nothing but just to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord. For that, they are ready to do anything. And the same they manifest in this material world as the Durga. So, uh, the Antaranga Shakti, which is the internal potency of the Lord, when the living entity, as I said, that he can be under the internal potency of the external potency, when he puts himself into the custody of the Antaranga Shakti, then he is called as Mahatma. Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivim Prakriti Ashrita. Like now, he always puts himself in the Daivi Prakriti, that is the superior energy of the Lord. Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Jnatva Bhutadimagyam. So, and then he worships the Supreme Lord. Bhajanti, like he worships the Supreme Lord without any deviation. And that's why he's called as Mahatma. And Mahatma is one who has expanded his heart and to realize the truth that everything is belongs to the Lord, and I am also belonging to the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Proprietor is God, and everything should be engaged in His service. So that is his always the consciousness, and with that he leads his life. He doesn't see anything for his own self. Whereas, like the Tatastha Shakti, the living entity, when one is uh, put oneself uh, in this body, which is externally made up of the matter and internally the spirit, a foolish living entity, he may desire, even while staying in the spiritual world, sometimes he may get a desire to serve the Lord or to enjoy in his absence. And with that, he wants to have the post of Brahma. Then I can create big, big universe, just like the Lord creates so many things. So let me also create. The same way, because of that desire, he may get a body of a Brahma. And if somebody in this world, man may think, let me have a bungalow so that I'll be enjoying that bungalow and lead a life. So the same way, a rat may think that, oh, in this house, let me make a hole and stay there so that I can keep getting the food. In either case, like no, the amount of enjoyment is all more or less the same. And one thinks that this is a nice position or the nice state where I'm staying it. But as the marginal potency of the living entity is called as the um conditioned soul, because the Mahatma, they never come to this material world, or even if they come, they don't come because of their karma or desire. They may come here for the sake of assisting the Lord in his services or in his pastimes. Whereas the conditioned soul is called as conditioned because in whichever position he is put in, he gets adjusted with that situation and continues living, considering that that is the very happiest, safest, not safest, or the happiest, I mean, very nice position. That is a that is called as the conditioned soul. Um, just like sometimes, if any of you have traveled uh, in Bangalore, also it may be there, but I've never observed. In the Bombay, Dharavi area, there is a slum area. You'll see that it is the big gutter is flowing like a river. It's so filthy smell comes and horrible. But just on the bank of that um, canal, so many people are living. and they stay there, they cook there, they eat there, and they live the whole their life there only. But for them, they don't feel any uh, this one. They get accustomed to that surroundings. That's why he's called as a tatastha or conditioned soul. He gets conditioned to whatever situation one is put in. All of you might have heard this story of the two ladies, who were friends. One would sell the fish, and other would sell the flowers. And one day, this fish selling lady, she could not go back to her village after the business. So she came to the house of this flower vendor, and she agreed to give her some space. In the night, she was given a nice room where the flowers were kept. But because of the fragrance of the flowers, she could not get sleep, and she goes out and sleeps next to her the basket of fish basket. And in the morning, she says, "I went out because in this, like no inside, because of this smell of the flower, I could not sleep only, and that's why I went outside and slept there. I could peacefully sleep." So the same way, a living entity, because of his desire, he may be given that uh, body which is suitable to fulfill his desires. And why the Lord creates this material world also is mainly because of the desire of the living entity to fulfill his desire. Lord makes all the arrangement of this material world, and he manifests this material world through his Bahiranga Shakti, or the external potency of the Lord. So the Lord also in the Bhagavad Gita, he also tells that uh, this Bhumirapanalavaya Kammano Buddhirivacha Ahankara Ityame Bhinna Prakriti Rashtada. These are the uh, uh, all these 8 things combined. This forms my separated material, and Bhinna Prakriti Rashtada. Like no, these are the Ashtada 8 elements form my separated material energy. So this makes the material nature, or the because of this Lord's external potency. And this Bahiranga Shakti, this doesn't have any free will. It is like all these material elements, they don't have their own free will. That's why they are called as inferior. Whereas the Tatastha Shakti has the free will, and he can choose whether do I want to be with Antaranga Shakti or the Bahiranga Shakti. Although these 8 things are called as the inferior, but still, like my Lord says that these are divine in the sense that because they are conducted under the supervision of Krishna. Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharachara Etunanena Kaunte Jagat Viparivartate. Maya Dhyakshena Prakriti, this Prakriti is under my supervision, it is working. Because it is working under Lord's supervision, so in one sense it is divine, but at the same time, it is Lord's inferior energy. So, and Prabhupada used to give this simple example that the cloud is formed by the sun, and the cloud blocks our vision of the sun. Similarly, this Bhairanga Shakti or the Mahamaya is Lord's one of the energies that blocks our vision of the Lord. So that in that blocked condition, we may imagine ourselves to be independent enjoyers, and we try to endeavor to fulfill our foolish plans while being in this material world. Although in one sense, the cloud can never cover the sun because sun is far above, but uh, the cloud can cover our vision of the Lord. The same way, Lord can never come under Maya, but this Bahiranga Shakti, it can block, just like the cloud blocks our vision of the sun. The same way, the Maya can overwhelm and bewilder the tiny Jiva and put him into the illusion, thinking that he is the enjoyer, proprietor, and the controller, and may uh, cover his vision of the Lord, because by only then he can enjoy, because he has come to this material world for the sake of enjoying. And to fulfill that desire, Lord has created that now for him to enjoy. If he remembers, like no, if the sunlight is there, in that sunlight, that means the Lord is visible, then one will be able to see, oh, he is a supreme Lord, he is a controller, he is the enjoyer, he is the proprietor. And in that condition, he will not be able to enjoy. For that, he has to be given that covering. It is said that the both Yogamaya and Mahamaya, they both do the same thing. The Mahamaya covers the vision of the conditioned souls, so that in that condition he can enjoy the material world. Because when one is in the right knowledge, he will not be able to enjoy the material world. And the same way, the superior energy of the Lord Yogamaya covers the devotee's vision of the Supreme Lord, by which they will not be able to see uh, themselves, or see the Lord as a Supreme Lord. Otherwise, they will not be able to have uh, that beautiful exchanges in the different rasas, as the Sakhya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, and Madhurya rasa. They will be like the friends of Krishna will never feel like climbing on the shoulder. They'll be feeling with awe and reverence. Oh, here is the Supreme Lord. We all know this pastime of how Mother Yashoda, when she was seeing at the mouth of the Supreme Lord, she sees that the whole earth, and she starts wondering, what is this? I'm seeing the universe, and in this the earth is there, in that I am there, and Krishna is there. What is happening? That means, who is this person who is in front of me? Is he my son? No, no, how can it be? My son is cannot be this. That means he is the Supreme Lord. And then I consider himself as my son, Nanda Baba as my husband. What is this? So when all these thoughts were going on, immediately understanding the whole this one, Krishna's Yogamaya potency covers the intelligence of the Yashodamaya. And then again she looks at her son and embraces, kisses, and like things that she is the only protector and uh, caring for her son. So that way, the Lord's this Bahiranga Shakti also has two things: Avaranatmika Shakti, Prakshepatmika Shakti. That this the same thing, the like no Avaranatmika Shakti is there with the Yogamaya also, by which, as we saw, that she covers the vision of the devotee so that they can give pleasure to the Lord by serving the Lord in whichever way the Lord want, or according to their rasa. Whereas in this material world, the living entity is covered by the Avaranatmika Shakti of the Lord. And by that covering, the living entity can enjoy in this material world, without which one cannot enjoy. And when one tries to enjoy, Lord, with this threefold miseries and fourfold sufferings, he keeps like Prakshepatmika. Avaranatmika means covering, Prakshepatmika means kind of a beating. He gives a beating with this Adhyatmika, Adidevika, Adidevika Klesha, by giving these three kinds of sufferings. And that Lord does through his external potency, that is the Durga. That's why we see that Durga Devi, she is the supervisor for this material world. She is having 10 hands, and each hand has different weapons. That means this shows that she is ruling all the 10 directions of this universe. And um, with all these weapons, she chastises the demons. There is one very famous photo in which you might have seen that she is holding the hairs of a demon, and with her trident she is piercing. That also shows that the living entity who wants to enjoy in this material world, like kind of having a demoniac mindset of uh, vimukasya deva, like facing away from Krishna. So that way she wants to pierce them with these three Adhyatmika, Adibhatika, Adidevika Klesha, so that may they come into their senses. And why she does that? Is she takes pleasure in punishing? No. Mahamaya is also the devotee of the Lord, and it is a thankless job. Prabhupada writes in one of the purport that Mayadevi performs a thankless job of screening all the conditioned living entities. And what she does, although she is a devotee of the Lord, she wants to check the people who unnecessarily may go and try to disturb the Supreme Lord, for which she's like a screening agent. She screens and sends the mm, living entity who are really wanting to surrender to the Lord. Just like we have heard this example in the Bhagavad Gita also, the sparrow and the the Garuda. The same way, when the Maya Devi sees that the living entity is really serious and want to serve the Lord, then she, like no, Maya Devi, she removes her trident and she blesses with the lotus flower, which is put under the custody of the Yoga Maya, and that way a devotee can make progress in one's spiritual life also. And the relationship between Krishna and Mahamaya is nothing but the servant and the servitude. That's why in the same Mahamaya, in the Mayapur, Navdeep, she manifests as Prouda Maya. In the Koladweep, we go to that place after Jagannath Das Baji Maharaj Samadhi is there, Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu is there. After that, we go there, and that is Mother Parvati. She wanted to witness the Durga. She wanted to witness the pastimes of the Lord. She wanted to take part, but she has this service of keeping all those people who are not qualified to enter the Lord's pastimes, to check them. So when she prayed, then Lord said, "Do you stay there, and from there you'll be able to watch my pastimes." So that is her. Like she is always the servant of the Supreme Lord. Just like the electricity, it is neither cold nor hot, but the same electricity can uh, make in the refrigerator very cold effect, and in the heater it can bring out the heat. The same way the Lord's energy, the source is the same, but depending upon the need and the situation where it is needed, accordingly the one acts as the Yogamaya or the Mahamaya. And in there is one Prabhupada mentions in the Krishna book, in 46th chapter, one of the books of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishna Bhavanamrita. So in that, one incident comes about how all the Krishna's Gopa friends, when they have to go to the forest, they are so eager, and because of which um, because of their eagerness, they take part. The Yogamaya arranges for the whole situation, and this one by which they are in anxiety in one sense, and at the same time how they cover up. I'll just read out, maybe 1 2 pages are there. This is from the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Krishna Bhavanamrita. The cowherd boys that were eager to go to the pastures with Krishna told their mothers, "Oh mother, why do you keep me here for putting on my tilak and ornaments? Why should I do? Why can't I get out of the house? All my friends are meeting with Krishna at this time of the morning. My friend Krishna, who is an ocean of life, waits for me, looking for me to go with him to the forest." They are very frantic. Mothers are decorating their children, but the mothers are telling, why are you so upset? I have only have the tranquilizing protective stone left to put on your wrist. I don't hear the cows going out yet. It's not full moon yet, and your friends haven't left their homes yet. Why are you so restless? If you go unornamented, you look like a beggar, and your friends who have been decorated with jewels and golden ornaments and who have been bathed by their mothers will laugh at you. So the mothers are trying to convince some or the other to put, but they are so frantic, the children. Even though their mothers were being naturally affectionate, the boys considered them impediments. When they heard even the slightest sound from the near road, they anxiously looked in the direction for their friends to come. That's why sometimes when these gopas, when their mothers are dressing them, they would tell, "No, no, no, take me near the window. I want to stay near the window, and from there, no, you decorate me there." Mothers would tell, no, but there is no mirror or something, you cannot see that. No, 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 I want, because they were eager that the moment if any covered boys or the cows are coming or something, they want to say, see, my friend is coming, I want to run. So they are trying to pacify. Then Vasudama, Sudama, Kinkini, Subala, and other boys gathered together from different places, like the waves of an ocean reaching the Krishna shore. The cowherd boys then said, friends, take the cows out on the path to the forest without delay. We are going to fight for fun with Hari on the slope of Govardhan Hill today. Mother Yashoda said, now Mother Yashoda is decorating Krishna and she is anxious. Oh, tender boy, if you go into the forest to tend your cows, then we will all follow you. Don't deceive us by going without us. Oh, son, don't send us elsewhere. Take us with you. We know you cannot tolerate the heartache of your parents. Mother Yashoda became overwhelmed with feelings of love as she protected her son's body with the names of Lord Narsimhadev, telling Balabhadra, Subhadra, Vardhana, and other leading boys that stood before her, oh boys, my Krishna is your youngest brother, friend, and very life. Don't I know that? Still, this mother cannot remain alive without grinding pulp every day. Although Hari is so tender, he is the leader of all the rowdy boys. And although he is very intelligent, he does not know his limits. Although he is weak, he is also very dashing. Therefore, you should stay around him and to protect him. He cannot be controlled by his father, his mother, or any of his superiors, but he may listen to you. I hope my request to you will not be in vain. If you see Krishna's cruel demoniac servants, you should run, leaving him on the cows, and quickly take shelter of us. O Subala, Ujjvala, Kokila, and other boys, don't play so roughly with your heart's friend Krishna. Are there no games in the world for men? O Raktak, Patrak, and other expert servant boys, because Krishna had different set of boys. Somebody would play with him, somebody would serve him. This Raktak, Patrak, and all were servants. I tell you about Krishna and Balram's nature. Listen. Even if they are hungry, they are not aware of it because they are so absorbed in playing. And even if their throats are dried up from thirst, they will not feel thirsty. Then Yashoda Maya is telling to her husband Nanda Maharaj, the road where our boys walk will be scorched by the sun, and this mother even stays alive seeing this father staying home in his golden brick home. Even those women whose sons suffer from when they go out to tend the cows, but who still shamelessly continue their house duties without dying of compassion, are worshipped in this world. Means she's telling that how can all of you are able to see you are not doing anything. She is scolding Nanda Baba that you should make something for the Krishna to go to the forest. Then she told Krishna, your friends who see you going into the forest have become as hard as thunderbolts, but still you gladden them with your attributes, having a heart as soft as flower. Krishna, who wore these words of his afflicted mother like earrings, revived her by sprinkling her with the nectar from his moon-like smile. Krishna humbly replied, O mother, you have not seen the forest path. I feel no trouble in tending the cows at all. It is the greatest pleasure. We are playing in the dense, cool shade of the fragrant trees in the forest on the bank of Yamuna, looking at the cows. It's also no problem for us to keep the cows together. For that, I have my expert new Murali flute. And the paths also don't give me any pain. The chamari deer sweep them with their tails. The trees shower them with their honey, and the nabi deer scent them with their navel musk. These paths are flawless and as soft as cotton, with its fragrant caves and kunjas where the cuckoos sing, the peacocks dance, and the honeybees buzz, where the vines with their different flowers are always swung by the soft breeze, and where there are many cascading waterfalls. Govardhan Hill attracts our minds at every step. The joy of your jeweled abodes give me nothing compared to the joy I feel in these mountain caves. Why are you so vainly distressed? So, although they are very, very hungry, the cows will not set one foot in the forest without Krishna, the destroyer of his friend's miseries. But now they began to call him by mooing, because till the time the Krishna is speaking to Mother Yashoda is not ready to leave. She puts one ornament. Krishna is telling, Maya, Maya, the cowherd boys have come. We have to go. Then she says, no, no, wait. I'll put this one earring or one this ornament, that ornament, because she want to prolong her uh, as much as possible from being with Krishna, not allowing Krishna to go as early as possible. But Krishna wants to go. And how there should be some stimulating thing for Krishna to come. So that's why cows are saying, Arey, Mother Yashoda is taking so much of Krishna's time. Then if he doesn't come out, then how will we have his time? So we want him. So they start moving. Hearing that little bit of the move, and Krishna's friends also think that, oh, Mother Yashoda is not sending. So they start speaking loudly or blowing the bugles, and also that Krishna is saying, my friends have come. The cows are calling. Let's see, they have to go. So that way, the whole this is arranged so that now Krishna wants to go. So Achyuta, seeing the condition, carefully stopped his parents from following him and blissfully began to mark the forest soil, the signs of the disc, the lotus, etc., from the soles of his feet as he walked on. While he went into the forest, Hari thought, those who love me feel sad when I leave. So let me take their minds with me. But the Vrajavasi's eyes also thought, what other objects do we have but Krishna? So they followed him. In this way, the Vrajavasis entered their homes like liberated souls that maintain their bodies only as an external custom. Although they were in the house, but their minds were with the Krishna, what Krishna is doing. That's why in the evening, if it is little late in Krishna coming back, they would be quite anxious. Why Krishna has not yet come? Thus, Yogamaya potency makes wonderful arrangement in the spiritual world to offer opportunities for the Lord and his devotee to relish the association of one another intimately in various moods like friendship, parental affection, conjugal love, etc. Thus, the Supreme Lord, by the arrangement of Yogamaya, casting aside his role of being supreme, deals with his devotees just like a friend, a child, or as a lover to exchange pure love. So this is the Yogamaya also covers the living entity, and the Mahamaya covers the living entity by three modes of material nature: Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, and she punishes the conditioned souls, just like a police department punishes the criminals. Just like the police, it is not that they take pleasure in punishing; they punish so that they can be reformed and they are released. The same way, the Mahamaya covers the living entity. She pierces the three modes of, sorry, with the three kinds of sufferings, and she puts the living entity in this, the three modes and all, punishes so that he can think of, start saying, why am I, I have been punished so much? Why am I suffering? And what is the way out? And when one starts thinking of that, and one really wants to take shelter, then he is put under the custody of the Yoga Maya, who, by giving him the right knowledge and understanding, helps that living entity to go back to the spiritual world where he can again stay with the Supreme Lord. And that uh, uh, suffering is given so that he is reminded. So Prabhupada used to tell one story, Praharena Dhananjaya. So Dhananjaya, who came to his senses only by the beating, once he had come to his, uh, uh, the one gentleman was there. He had 8 daughters, and all had their married. So once they came to the house, and he was giving them nice, this one, what do you call, the facilities for staying. Then he saw that nobody is leaving. Then slowly he started cutting down. Then one by one started leaving. But this Dhananjay was so this one that no matter, even the burnt rice was given, still he, if his father-in-law thought, at least let me give him the burnt rice, and also that at least he'll leave. He was not ready to leave only. Then he thought only way is by beating, and he once, when he was sleeping, he just started beating him. Then when he got this beating, he said, no, 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 let me go away from here. The same way, the Maya Devi gives that beating, that suffering, so that one will the leave this material world and go. This is mentioned in the, like, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, the 20th chapter it comes. Krishna boli se jiva anadi bahirmukha ata eva mayatare deya samsara dukkha. By forgetting Krishna, the living entity, okay, maybe I'll just share this in the. So in this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is instructing Sanatana Goswami. He gives about all this the knowledge of the whole this energy is only in this section. Is it visible? In the previous verses, he mentions about this the uh, uh, 8 elements of Krishna's external energy. That all those. Then in this he says, Krishna bhuri se jiva anadi bahirmukha ataeva maya tare deya samsara dukkha. Forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external features from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy Maya gives him all kinds of misery in his material existence. So Prabhupada elaborates on the same. कबू स्वर्गे उठाया कबू नरके डुबाया दंड्य जाने राजा ये ना नदी ते चुबाया. In the material condition, the living entity is sometimes raised to higher planetary systems and material prosperity and sometimes drowned in a hellish condition. His state is exactly like that of a criminal whom a king punishes by submerging him in the water and then raising him again from the water. It is like that Prabhupada used to tell. He is put in the water. He is like, oh, he is like wanting to gasp some air. Then he is removed. And again he is like, no, dunked in the water. So Chaitanya Chandra says, this absence of misery, like when he is inside his misery, the absence of misery in this world is considered to be considered the happiness. The same in this material, so much beating is there, little bit of that beating is not there, then one considers, oh, I am happy. Then again that beating is given. But then he doesn't understand that why that beating is given to remind me to come out of this material condition. So again, this Krishna Karaj Goswami quotes from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. When the living entity is attracted by the material energy, which is separate from Krishna, he is overpowered by fear. Because he is separate from the Supreme Personality Godhead by material energy, his conception of life is reversed. In other words, instead of being eternal servant of Krishna, he becomes Krishna's competitor. This is called Viparyayo Asmritihi. To nullify this mistake, one who is actually learned and advanced worship the Supreme Personality Godhead as his spiritual master, worshipful deity, and source of life. He thus worship the Lord by the process of unalloyed devotional service. Like now, by to come back to it one's original uh, uh, position. साधु शास्त्र कृपाया यदि कृष्णोन्मुख होया से जीवन निस्तारे मायता हरे छाड़ाया. If the conditioned soul becomes Krishna conscious by the mercy of saintly persons who voluntarily preach scriptural injunctions and help him to become Krishna conscious, the conditioned soul is liberated from the clutches of Maya, who gives him up. So that's what we can see, that what Srila Prabhupada did is nothing but people were so engrossed, even we all were like engrossed in like enjoying this material world, either even so-called religiously we were although religious but pious materialists we can call us, may not be breaking the regulated principles but not knowing the goal of life. Then through the knowledge saintly people like Srila Prabhupada, they come out when they see that in the shloka that is in the Bhagavatam, Janasya Krishna Vimukasya Devat Adharmashilasya Sudukkitasya. Anugrahayi iha charantinunam bhutani bhavyani janardanani. The saintly people who carry the Lord Janardana in the core of their heart, when they see that the people are vimukhasya daivat, when they have turned their faces away from Krishna, so they charantinunam, they travel around to give them this knowledge of Bhagavata. So that way the saintly people, they, through the Shastra, they give them that, try to help them. And here this verse says, Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratya mami vaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. By taking shelter of Krishna, one can overcome this energy of Maya. Because he says, Maya addiction, like, no, this is my inferior energy. This is working under my direction. And uh, in this, like Krishna's Karaja words, Maya Muktara Jivera Nahi Swata Krishna Jan. The living entity, when he is under the Maya, he doesn't have the knowledge of Krishna. Jivera Krupaya Kaila Krishna Veda Puran. So that's why Krishna gives this, the Vedas and the Purana. The conditioned soul cannot revive his Krishna consciousness by his own effort. But out of causeless mercy, Lord Krishna compiled the Vedic literature and its supplementary, that is the Purana. So that's why by reading them, one can come back to the senses. Shastra Guru Atmarupe Apanare Janaya Krishnamora Prabhuta Trata Jivera Hoya Jana. By reading that, the forgetful conditioned soul is educated in by Krishna through the Vedic literature, the realized spiritual master and the super soul. Through these, he can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as he is, and he can understand that the Lord Krishna is his eternal master and deliverer from the clutches of Maya. In this way, one can acquire real knowledge of the conditioned life and can come to understand how to attain liberation. So now, Bharat Maharaj, having understood all these things, he has given up everything and he has come to this forest. And in the forest, he is with giving up all the other engagements or other things. He is in the completely absorbed in remembrance of the Lord. He is trying to worship the Supreme Lord by these prayers he is offering from the Rigveda, wherein he is saying that Paro Raja Savitur Jata Vedo Devasya Bhargo Manasedam Janaya Jajana Sureta Sadha Punaravishya Chaste Hamsam Grudhrana Nrishad Ringiram Imaha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated in pure goodness. He illuminates the entire universe and bestows all benediction upon devotees. The Lord has created this universe from his own spiritual potency. According to his desire, the Lord entered this universe as super soul, and by virtue of his different potencies, he is maintaining all living entities desiring material enjoyment. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who is giver of intelligence. So these are few points which I thought of sharing on this. Mainly I spoke about the how, as it is mentioned that the living entity, out of his desire to enjoy this material world, he comes to this material world, and how the spiritual world is controlled by Lord's internal potency. This material world is controlled by the inferior energy of the Lord, but overall it is the Lord's energy which controls the entire thing. In the spiritual world, like the Yoga Maya covers the living entity so that he can give pleasure to Krishna. In this material world, the Mahamaya covers the living entity so that the living entity can enjoy according to his desires. But the Mahamaya pierces the living entity through his trident so that to remind that here doesn't belong to this place. And as we read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, for that purpose only Krishna makes all the arrangement. Although he puts here in this material world, he gives them the suffering so that he is reminded that he has to go back and this is not the place of him to stay. And when one does that, then one can go back to this uh, spiritual world where it is the eternal place where he can stay. I'll just share one last shloka. This comes in the CC somewhere. Prabhupada quotes this. These are the three energies, like the Parasya Shakti, Vivadaiva Shlote, that Sadhaki Jnana Bala Kriya. And that after that, Prabhupada quotes this. Ladini Sandhin Samvet, Traya Eka Sarva Samsito, Lada Tapakari Mishra, Twaino Gunavartite. In the material world, the spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality Godhead is manifested as tapakari, which means causing miseries. So in the material world, although the spiritual energy, Ladini potency, the three potencies are there. The this Samvit, Sandhini, and Ladini. Like now, Sandhini is the Sat potency of the Lord, which is the eternal aspect, and the knowledge aspect is Samvit, that is the Chit. Ananda is the bliss, that is the Ladini. So when it comes to this in this material world, Ladini is giving the causing miseries. Everyone hankers for happiness, but all the happiness originally comes from the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality Godhead. In the material world, because of material activities, the pleasure potency of the Lord becomes the source of misery. Lada tapakari, the same Lada, happiness, tapakari. False happiness in this material world is the source of distress. But when one's endeavors for happiness are redirected toward the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality Godhead, this tapakari element of the misery is vanquished. An example given in this connection is that extracting fire from wood is certainly difficult, but when the fire comes out, it burns the wood to ashes. In other words, experiencing the Supreme Personality Godhead is externally difficult for those devoid of devotional service, but everything becomes easier for a devotee, and thus he can very easily meet the Supreme Lord. So, these are few points which I thought of sharing with you. If you have any comments or want to share something, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Swayam Prakash Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much for very nice and uh, informative session, Prabhuji. I think you beautifully described the pastime of Bharat Maharaj and then the power of Mahamaya, then how the living entities are conditioned. So our dear Gaurchandra Gopinath Prabhu has put a very beautiful mind map of what he captured in the chat window. So beautifully he presented it. Thank you, Gaurchandra Gopinath Prabhu. Maybe devotees, you can please unmute your line if you have, a question. Maybe we can take one or two questions. Any questions or comments? Ji, I just have one comment. Oji, you give a very nice analogy of how actually energy of the Lord, external energy, internal energy of the Lord.
Bro, your voice is little bit not able to hear clearly, bro. First, before it was very clear. Like now,
Okay, is it okay, Prabhuji? Now?
little better, bro.
Okay, I'm in the car, so that's why.
Oh,
So, Prabhuji, you actually beautifully explained about the external energy of the Lord and the internal energy of the Lord. But also, you mentioned actually it is actually one energy depending on the living entities, either the Yogamaya or Mahamaya potentials actually displayed. Can you please a little bit elaborate on this? That's what I was not clear.
about Yogamaya and Mahamaya?
No, the one energy actually, manifesting. Depending on if it is a pure devotee, probably the Yogamaya energy will be
Yeah, bro. I was just
displayed.
telling that, sharing that the both are like energies of the Supreme Lord only. It's Antaranga and Bahiranga. For that, Prabhupada gives the like just take the electricity in itself is neither hot or cold. At the same, it is the electric energy only, but when in the fridge it creates a cold effect, and in the heater it creates a hot effect. Like it creates heat, but the energy is the same. The same way, the both the Antaranga Shakti and Bahiranga Shakti both are energies of the Supreme Lord only, and according to the place or situation or the circumstances or what is needed, accordingly they make. Just like the spiritual world is coordinated and manifested or maintained by the Antaranga Shakti of the Lord, and like Prabhupada also writes that Subhadramaya is the younger sister of Krishna, the relationship of Yogamaya and Krishna, and then she coordinates, and then the same she expands herself as the Durga in this material world, and both of their duty is same, to cover the living entities. But in the spiritual world, the living Yogamaya covers the 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 vision of the devotees, so that they can give pleasure to Krishna. Because if, just as we discussed, that Yashodamaya sees Krishna as the supreme Lord, then she will not be able to have that parental affection. And sometimes she chastises, she binds Krishna and all. She cannot do that. And that way, Krishna cannot have that parental affection. But Krishna wants to enjoy that. For that, the Yogamaya covers the vision of the pure devotees, so that they can give pleasure to Krishna. If the Krishna's friends, all the Gopas, if they are not covered with that vision, they cannot climb on Krishna, or they cannot make fun with Krishna, and Krishna will not have that. Like Krishna cannot enjoy that Sakhya. So that, for that purpose, the Yogamaya Shakti covers their vision of Krishna as a supreme Lord. So they consider Krishna as their friend. So the same way in this material world, the expansion of Yogamaya, the Mahamaya, covers the vision of the living entity, so that the living entities can enjoy. Because the very fact of the living entities coming to this material world is for the sake of enjoyment. Out of their desire to enjoy, they have come. So for that time, what the Yogamaya does is, sorry, Mahamaya does is cover them, so that in that ignorance they can enjoy. That's why she put them to feel that I am the controller of this, I am the enjoyer of this, I am the proprietor of this. But then at one point of the time, she gives them the pierces with the Adhyatmika, Adidevika, Adibhautika kleshas, so that, or the birth, old age, disease, death, and all, with all these things, when the living entity is pierced, then he starts thinking, Arey, why am I suffering? So that way he comes to the senses and tries to see that what should I do to come out of this. So that way, both of their job is same, to one is to cover so that Krishna can get the pleasure. The second one is to the living entity can enjoy, so that ultimately comes to senses and comes back to the Supreme Lord. That's what I was just sharing.
Thank you, Prabhuji. It's a very beautiful example.
Thank you, Gaurchandra Rabindranath, for so wonderfully making the notes. Maybe may I also become attentive like you in hearing.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, devotees. There are no questions. We will end today's session right now. Mancha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Prakash Srimad Bhagavata ki jai. Jai Guru Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for sharing connected. I'll end the Zoom session. Thank you very much.